John here, Hot Rods in the Woods, with another edition of What Should We Do Next? Well, here we go. I'm going to start with seats for the sedan delivery. So we have a couple choices here. You have these little, kind of like a, I guess the rough out would be kind of like a bomber seat, but pretty straightforward and super simple. I don't think they're going to work for a comfortable car. We'll see. We also have a pair of these, which I'm not sure what they're out of. If somebody knows, they can ID them, kind of give me an idea. Maybe a Nissan, Datsun, something, I don't know. But the width works for the car. So I've gone ahead and started to disassemble one so that my wife can start to figure out how to do the upholstery. And it's a ball of rust inside, but we've got the cover off. I'll show you a little more how to do that on the second one. But this is just a quickie, just to start on it. Definitely needs reupholstered. It had like a hubcap or a windshield laying against, or a steering wheel laying against it, and it has left a wonderful arc of black. We also did it on the back. So of course the other one, the driver's side, is perfect. This one needs some TLC. They were obviously out in the rain for a while. We have some rust, but the springs are still good. So what I'm going to do is remove the foam. Once I get the foam removed, then I'll go ahead and put this in the bead blaster. We'll clean it up, paint it, make it live for another day. So that's where we're at this point. So have a wonderful day, and we'll be back soon. John here, Hot Rods in the Woods, with some new tunes. It's called Fluffing a Duck. It's perfect. Anyway, here we are. It's morning. Well, almost lunchtime. It's cold in here this morning. Got the fire going. So we've got both covers off. Surprisingly, the covers are pretty supple still. They're a little crispy, but not bad. My wife, the seamstress, has taken a look and said that she can copy this, emulate it, whichever word you want to use. However, we are going to have to do some sandblasting here. Now that I got that coffin fit out of the way, we are getting some new, get this, very simple name, zigzag springs that you can buy very inexpensively if you do a little search. So we'll sandblast these. I would put them in my bead blaster, but I don't want that much rust in there. That makes it a real pain. It plugs up the nozzle easily. So moving on. Still can't get rid of this cough. So I've replaced the transmission pan, as we said. I did take another flag off where we had a transmission leak right here. They didn't put the O-ring in this adapter, which is for the electronic speedometer. So I've done that, sealed that up hopefully. I went ahead and replaced this bolt. Now this actually sets the, not really the pinion angle, if you will, but it kind of sets the pinion in place, locks it in place for the differential. If it feels like it's going to vibrate, I can move that up and down a little bit. I still have to fix these because that's pretty hokey. So we'll deal with that here in a little while. But my next step is I'm going to go ahead and start changing a few things around up here, and we'll continue on. So let me get set up and we'll start attacking these one at a time. This one is really important. I'm going to go ahead and remove this. I'm going to move this so it's square to the frame, and I'm going to weld it both sides. This is plenty strong enough, but it just needs to be put in place correctly, so we'll do that. My exhaust is done, as I said earlier, so we're just going to start going through these tags one at a time and start getting this stuff done underneath. I've got some looming to do over here, and of course I still have to figure out all this wiring harness. I hate those butt connectors, but what are you going to do? It's got to be fixed. And all of this has to be loomed up better. It's just hanging here. I mean, he knew it had to be done. He just didn't quite know what to do with it yet. So that's our next project. So we're going to start on that stuff. So give me a few minutes to get set up, and away we'll go. In the meantime, fluff a duck. And we're out. So I'm giving you a bird's eye view here as we listen to some other ridiculous YouTube music. Still fighting the cough. But as you can see, I loosened up the bolt here. You can see it's a lovely thing. But this was all loose too. So that's rather important. So what I need to do is tap it up on the shaft a little farther. Let's see if I can get to that. I need to tap it on the shaft some more. Try and get it up a little higher. Let's see if I can do this. And you see right here? So we'll see if it won't slide up the shaft just a hair more. And if it will, maybe, just maybe, I can get it square to the frame. You know, it's twisted. And obviously we have to try this to make sure it's all. So my U-joint here, as long as it rotates freely, and this thing did steer fine, so I believe if I tighten this down in the location that it's at, I will tell you that anytime you use a heim joint like this, it's a good idea on one side or the other to have a lock washer or a self-locking nut, something, so that it doesn't just shake its garbage apart, right? Well, I'm going to see if I can find the washer. We'll get that back on, and then I'll go ahead and get this situated, tighten this up, and try it. The problem is, well, you can see it. This plate needs to be turned, because if it's not turned, then this joint isn't riding straight. So I guess what I'm going to do is I'll get a nut on here, get a lock washer on it, but I'll leave it loose. I'll tack weld this, and I'll twist that so that it matches the angle of the shaft, and then we'll come back to it. So I'll be back in a bit here. So if it's not one thing, it's 10, listening to more stupid YouTube music. But here's the problem. Riddle me this. So okay, let us assume that I go ahead and I weld that in place and all is good. Then the only way to get this steering shaft out is to remove the rack, because the header's in the way and the motor mount's in the way. So there's no real way to get that out of there. And there's really no way to bolt that in there. So, what do we do now? I'm not a fan of a self-tapping bolt, self-tapping screw. The frame thickness on these is not necessarily the thickest thing to get a thread in. So what do I do? I could weld a nut. One won't be enough, it would have to be two. You know what? If it works, it works. I'm going to tack weld it in place. Because if that truly needs to be changed, it's the only piece in the whole thing that really doesn't go bad, right? This is just a piece of round tubing with a couple of U-joints on the end. And removing the header isn't that difficult. It appears that possibly the motor mount is bolted in as well and shimmed, so you can always do that. All right, back to square. Let's do that. I don't foresee any serious issues with that. I guess that's the way to go. Let's grind that bitch up, tack it in place. We'll drop the car down, make sure the steering feels free. Away we'll go. We'll get the welder out and we'll be back. Okay, so I've tacked her up in place there. I've got you pretty much in the best position you can be in to see it, which is right here. See? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to give it a little twist. This is one of those instances where a crescent wrench comes in real handy, especially if you know which way to tighten it and loosen it. So we're just going to kind of eyeball it and see if we can't give her a twist. Like that. That feels pretty close to right. Okay. And once again, I'm just doing it with feel here. I do have clearance to the header, which is rather important. So I'll grab a pair of pliers and just hold the top, tighten the bottom, and we'll see where we come out. So let's grab a pair of pliers and a wrench. Hey, here's a thought. Let's take the nut with us. Maybe we can do it in one trip instead of 3. I did find a lock washer, as you can see. So stand by, I'll be right back, and away we'll go. So, before somebody says, why don't you get a wrench and do it the right way and hold the top nut too? Well, there's a problem with that, Mr. Brilliant. And that is that I need to hold the hind joint, not the nut. If I hold the hind joint, nothing up there can turn, right? But the hind joint itself can twist. I don't know if you can see that. And if it twists, it can bind, it can get in the way. So if I hold the hind itself centered on the shaft, then when I tighten the nut, not only will the top nut not turn, but also neither will the hind. And it's just a matter of figuring out how to get in there to hold it. So I'm going to have to move you over here maybe. Yeah, you got a bird's eye view of that fuel filter. How's that? That's acceptable. It'll have to do. And these are too big. So let's grab the little pair, which is way down here. Let's see if we can get in there and hold this. And we can. So let's give her a gur. Alright, that's nice and snug. I've got it straight. It clears the header all the way. It's a straight shot. I would have loved to have taken it up higher to get a little bit of that off of that U-joint for the steering, but if this works, we're good. Now, I have a hole in the frame that has a screw in it right here. Can you see that? I have to look at the other one. Yes, you can, right there. I'm going to go ahead and just tighten that screw up. There's no sense pulling it out. We'll call it a safety measure. Then I'll go ahead and weld this back up a little better. I had a little splattering going on. I didn't clean it up. I'll weld this back and we'll call her good. So that's one more important thing taken care of. So let's go farther. I'll be back in a minute. Edit, edit, edit. Do. Okay, I'm back. Done a couple things. Let's kind of give you a show. Number one, I did put my microphone back on my lapel, which is a wireless mic. I hope it helps a little bit in hearing. So I've gone ahead, as I said, and put a new bolt in there, tighten that up. I went ahead and tightened these up, put some cotter pins in. This one was ready to fall off, so it's better now. Put some cotter pins in the lower spring mounts. You can see they did the same thing I did on the 1930, jacked it up by using some washers, which probably isn't the right way, but it works. So, still got to deal with this mess. I'm not quite sure. Let me turn on my headlight. I did put my headlight on too. Maybe this helps. Problem is, back here, I have my ramps. So where that spring mounts right there, we have to do some dealing. We got some Michel Mousset stuff going on here with these front two bolts that I have to deal with. I'm never a fan of, ooh, looky there. I think we just saved a catastrophic failure. Can you see that? Maybe you can, maybe you can't. That bolt is totally broken free. Both sides. Holy but Jesus, my goodness, my God. Well, that just throws a wrench in the old gears, doesn't it? Well, the good news is it didn't fall out on the road, right? How are the back ones? See, the back is a solid. What in the hell? Oh, that fucker. Oh, sorry. We're going to have to get a look in there. They go all the way. That's supposed to be a bolt that goes all the way up through, I believe. Oh, man. Talk about luck. So, let's move these seats out of the way. What are the chances, folks, of happening upon that? That's, it doesn't get much more dangerous than that. So let us assume that they came loose. What could happen? Well, I mean, the spring isn't flying out of there by any stretch of the imagination, but it ain't good no matter what. But the question is, how do I fix it? That's cast. And those bolts, well, they don't go all the way up through. I'm going to have to pull, well, how am I going to do that? How am I going to do that? I'm going to have to jack it up by the spring and try and get one of those out. Let's see if we can't get this one out of here. If I can get this one out, I can look in the hole. I don't know how well you can see that. That's scary. It's literally unhooked from the casting. I'm hoping there's enough meat. And then they tried to weld it to cast. I'm hoping there's enough meat there that I can get some sort of a set of threads in there. If not, we're going to have to get a new back cover for a Corvette differential. Stand by. I'm going to dive in there. We'll see what we've got. All right, gang. So, the owner of this car, just like the pickup, is a very good new friend of mine. We've become attached like brothers, I think. Anyway, I get to harass him now and tell him that the reason he pays me the big bucks, which, by the way, we don't work that way. But I'm going to tell him is so that he doesn't have a untimely demise by Hot Rod. So what I'm going to do, I hope this light works for you guys. I really can't tell. Let's see. Does that seem to work? I guess it does. Is I've jacked it up to take some load off of the suspension. Obviously the spring won't fall out. It's pushing down and pushing up. But I'm going to remove those back bolts, get this plate out of the way so I can get these two things that aren't doing anything out of the way. And then I'm going to go ahead and see if there's a repair. Okay, so if there is, I will go ahead and do it. I imagine there's a way to either get some new threads put in there or something. If not, the good news is it is the rear cover for the differential. The bad news is it's going to be fun to deal with, but I think we can get it out of here reasonably easily. So let's go on with that. We'll see what happens. Let me see if I can get a better light in here for you guys. No, that one's worse. Let's see how that works. I'll go get the proper socket, because of course it's going to be a different size because they just used a Mickey Mouse bolt in the front. These appear to be 3/4. What are they? And they are, oh boy. Okay, they are bolts that go up through. This could be very sketchy in a real short period of time. So stand by. I'll grab a socket. As I'm walking away, one of my earliest subscribers, whose name I won't name, but Greg, you know who you are, brought up a good point regarding my flags under here versus a list. Of course I got the wrong one. A list. And in most instances when you're building, I absolutely agree. If you look at my earliest video, I did grease pencil on the windshield of the Chrysler. I've done a bunch of lists, and I love crossing them off. I mean, it's great. I also love throwing these flags in the garbage. I don't know how much I need to take up. It seems like if I take up too much, it's going to go the wrong way on me. So maybe I'll put on all of my PPG and get ready with a first aid kit. Can only take them out part way. That one ain't coming, so let's get something a little bigger. What size is this? 13/16. All right. We'll get a bigger wrench. But anyway, I like taking the flags off because it just shows when they're gone, then I know there's nothing else. But just like this, when you're walking around and you're looking for things to fix, you can just throw a flag up. You don't have to go back to the list. I usually just have a red roll sitting somewhere as I'm inspecting these things. But always, and I mean always, stay paying attention. This is about the ultimate reason for that. Now, I just happened to, in my messing around, not like the looks of those two bolts, even after I had done a cursory inspection. And had I not, kept looking and said, oh, I need to add that to the list, once again, this could have meant a serious injury. I'll move you over to this side so I can get to that side. How's that? So, always pay attention to what you're working with. And always, but always, spend the time to continue to look. Because just like this, if you miss something, it ain't good. So I can't tell. And my plate is loose. Let's see if I can get these out. I really like to get these out without totally removing that. It doesn't look like that's going to happen. Let's go a little further, see if it comes down. Ooh. All right. Can you see that? Oop. Oop. Let's go this way. Now they welded that, tried to weld it in the, I imagine it's cast. I don't think that would be, the rear cover would be forged, but it could be. And they tried to weld it in there, and as you can see, they had zero penetration. So I'm going to go ahead and get the other one out, and we'll get a look. It really is rather spooky, but I think I've got enough weight off that I don't have to worry about it flying out of there. I don't know. I mean, I just really don't know. Let's put this back on my head so I can actually watch and see what's happening here. I think that spring is wedged against the back of that. I'm going to continue up with it. I'm scared, and I'm saying. All right, let's just bump it a little bit. Now see, that's clear. There we go. Once again, same thing. No, nothing. Not attached at all. Probably looked real good on paper for a minute or six. All right, I'm gonna get a different light. We'll get you up in there so you can see what's happening too. All right, we'll just get a quick look in here, and then I'm gonna figure out what to do next. Isn't that pretty? I don't know how much meat is up in there. Well, there's plenty, maybe. I don't know how far I can go in. I guess we're gonna have to find out. So, I'm gonna do a little homework here. And hope that there's an easier repair than the one that I think is going to be. But, I mean, I'm not lying here. I think I'm going to have to change the rear cover. Which I'm not looking forward to, mind you. But I don't know of another way to do this properly. All I can see here. Now, what did they try and do up in there? Aha. It appears that there's broken bolts in the holes. All right. So I'm going to go online, find out what bolts it takes, see how long they should be, and then perhaps I can figure out how to get up in there. I'm assuming, once again, there's a word we love to use when we have no idea, that this bolt as nice as it is not correct either. I can't imagine that they left that much thread out. But I'm going to get up in there and look, and we'll figure it out and get the right stuff. So let me do some homework and I'll get back with y'all. Bye for now. Okay, so here we are. We already know we have some serious issues with the rear differential. So my question is, why haven't half of you guys liked and subscribed? I like you as an audience. I hope you like me back. I just noticed another thing I gotta fix. That's a wrong bolt. All right, we'll deal with that too. Please like and subscribe. I'll explain to you a little bit of how it works, which I really don't have a clue myself, but I did a little bit of homework. So you see all these big guys like Old Man's Garage and Billy Hoskinson and Derek and all of them. And of course, they're making buku bucks and kicking some serious butt. They've changed their lives forever. And life is good. Well, I'm not that guy. I'm just plugging away, enjoying life, fiddling around with this. And I don't make a dime for this, which is fine. I don't care. But it's always nice to see that that people are liking and subscribing. It doesn't cost you anything. And I've got 464 maybe. I'd like to get to 500 by the first of the year. I think that'd be a cool number. I'd like to get to 42 bazillion someday, but I don't think that's going to happen right away. I'd be amazed if I get to 1,000. Anyway, that being said, please like and subscribe. Hey, if you don't like my content, you can always unsubscribe later, but it'd really be cool if you would. And in the meantime, if this is my last video before Christmas, please, I hope you have the best Christmas you've ever had. Hopefully that's not too much to ask. The way the world is going right now, everybody needs a little bit of peace on earth and goodwill toward men and all that good stuff. And I just hope you and your family have the absolute best that you can have. Be safe. I'll probably be back before Christmas, but if not, Merry Christmas. All right, I'm back again for just a little quick note on the end of this differential video for right now. Well, you can see that. But basically for, I don't know, 150 or 160 bucks, that's all it takes to fix this problem. Instead, they had to know they were broke, right? I mean, you can tell by looking at the bolts. Where did I put the bolts? I brought the bolts out here in a good light. There's absolutely no way that those were holding anything. I mean, look, there's a little dot there, but realistically, you can't weld into cast iron without heating it up and doing all of that good stuff. So they were never right. As soon as they tightened them up with a wrench, they had to have come loose, and they said, it'll be fine. 150 bucks. 150 bucks, the spring could have fallen out and killed somebody. So, there you have it. Once again, we save people from having catastrophic failures. Bye-bye.